This scripture, Hymn to Kālī, is brought to you by Not a Prophet org, the place on the internet to find spiritual guidance powered by artificial intelligence. Hymn to Kālī Karpūrādi-Stotra by Arthur Avalon, with introduction and commentary by Vimalanandis. Vami preface this celebrated Kaula Stotra, now translated from the Sanskrit for the first time, attributed to Mahākāla himself. The text used is that of the edition published at Calcutta by the Sanskrit Press Depository, with a commentary in Sanskrit by the late Mahamahopadhyaya Krishnanatha Nyaya-pancanana, who was both very learned in Tantra Shastra and faithful to his Dharma. He thus refused the offer of a good government post made to him personally by a former lieutenant, governor on the ground that he would not accept money for imparting knowledge. Some variants in reading are supplied by this commentator. I am indebted to him for the notes, or substance of the notes. To these I have added others, both in English and Sanskrit, explaining matters and allusions familiar doubtless to those for whom the original was designed, but not so to the English or even ordinary Indian reader. I have also referred to the edition of the Stotra published by Gainsik, Andragosa at Calcutta, with a translation in Bengali by Gurunath of Vidyā and commentary by Durgaramasiddhantavajis Bhattacharya. I publish for the first time Vimalanandis, Vami's commentary. When in this introduction or in the commentary I have not mentioned these two works, my authorities are the Tantras or Tantric works which I cite, or the information I have gathered from those whom I have consulted. One of the chief features of this stotra is that it gives the mantroddhāra of the Dakṣiṇā-Kālikā. It not only gives us the Dhyāna, Yantra, Sādhana, and Svarūpa-varnana of the Mahādvi, but it also contains the chief mantras of Dakṣiṇā-Kālikā. The adjective tava manusamadare and ajanu, qualifying item stotram, in Sloka 21, expressly states this fact. Among the various mantras of Dakṣiṇā-Kālikā, the greatest is the Vidyā-rājnī, consisting of 22 syllables. This mantra gives the fullest and the truest symbol of the Svarūpa of her. This mantra is contained in the first 5 slokas. In Vimalanandis, Vami's Tika of the 5th sloka in the revised Sanskrit text, he has proved by quotations from the 9th patala of Shaktinanda-Tarangini that this 22-syllabled mantra is the full and true representation of the Svarūpa of the Mahādvi. The words Svarūpam and Sakalam point to this Vidyā-rājnī. After the full Vidyā-rājnī has been given in the first 5 slokas, the 6th sloka gives the various other mantras of less importance and significance, ranging from 1 syllabled to 9 syllabled, 15 syllabled, 21 syllabled, and so forth. This mantroddhāra has been made following the authority of Kalika-shruti, Niruttara-Tantra, and other tantras. Many commentators, however, have apparently, in the view of Vimalananda, failed to consult the above authorities, and have thus fallen into errors and have given a different mantroddhāra. Some take the first sloka to give a 1-syllabled mantra, the 2nd sloka as also the 3rd 2-syllabled mantras, the 5th a 9-syllabled one, and so on, a view which is opposite to passages in Kalika-Upanishad or Niruttara-Tantra. The Swami further refers to the end of the Kalika-Upanishad, where, dealing with the various mantras of the Dakṣiṇā-Kālikā, it is said that one should chant the mantra. Asiatic, Greek, Polytonic text may be corrupt. Please check the integrity of this file. From the above consideration, it is clear that at the very beginning in the first 5 slokas, the 22-syllabled mantra is given, and then the others. It may be added here that the fact of Mahākāla's composing the hymn in 22 slokas, not more nor less, is also an indication of the correctness of the Swami's view, who cites slokas dealing with mantroddhāra from the Kramastava of the Dakṣiṇā-Kālikā under the first 5 slokas of the Karpūrādi. In course of revising his Vyakhya, Vimalanandis, Vami has in the first 6 slokas given good grounds to prove that the stotra not only contains the mantroddhāra and the Sādhana of Sri Sri Dakṣiṇā-Kālikā, but also in it are given the mantras and Rahasya Puja of Sri Sri Tārā and Sri Sri Tripurasundarī. In addition to the mantroddhāra, the following matters are contained in the stotra: Dhyāna in Ślokas 1 to 8 and 11, Yantra in Śloka 18, Sādhana in Ślokas 10, 11, 15 to 20, Madhya in Śloka 13, Mamsa in Śloka 19, Mithuna in Śloka 10, Phala-Śruti in Ślokas 21 and 22. Ślokas 9, 12, and 14 contain stuti only. Ślokas 10, 15 to 18, and 20 refer to the Tantric Virakara Sadhana. Virakara is for the class of sadhaka who are Virabhava and Abhishekta. To those who follow Pashvikara, this ritual is strictly forbidden. The nature of the Rahasya Puja is indicated in the text, to which I have added an explanatory commentary in English and Sanskrit. To the Pashu, sadhana by night is prohibited, for it connotes in Shakta sadhana worship with the Pankatattva. The Pashu is still bound by the Pasha of desire, and he is, therefore, not adhikari, for that which, if undertaken by the unfit, will only make these bonds stronger. For him there are severe restrictions in this matter, for, as the Shaktakrama says, Maithanam tatkathalapam tadgosh dim parivarjayat. The Pashu should avoid Maithuna, conversation on the subject, and the like. The Pashu should avoid the 8 forms of Maithuna known as Ashtanga Maithuna, namely Smaranam, Kirtanam, Keli, Prakshanam, Gahyabhashanam, Sankalpa, Adhyavasaya, as well as Kriyanishpati. The Nitya Tantra says, Ratrau naiva yaged divim sandyayam vaparanak. He should never worship the Divi during the latter part of the day, or in the evening, or at night. To this, the Svaitantra says that the Pashabhava Sadhaka should do 1 lakh of japa in daytime, and that a Vira devoted to his own akara should do 1 lakh of japa at night. Pashabhavarato mantri diva laksha japam karat. Svekaranarato viro ratrau laksha japam karat. In connection with this verse, it must be observed that the notes to verse 20 state that the first half of the 20th sloka is meant for Pashusadhakas, and that the second half refers to Purnabhishiktavarasadhaka, as also that the word param means and refers to the time when the Pashu, having received Abhishika, enters Virakara and is adhikari for the midnight Purashkarana. Vimalananda tells me that this is wrong, and that the whole sloka has reference to the Vira or Divya Sadhaka, and that no portion of it refers to the Pashu Sadhaka. The quotation from the Svatantra Tantra seems to lend support to the view that the first part of the sloka refers to the Pashu, but he informs me that he and other followers of the Shastra knew the passage to bear a meaning which is consonant with his view. That is, it means this: Mantri means the Vira Sadhaka. The mantri should perform laksha, japa in the daytime following the akara of Pashu. The Viras, adhaka, should perform laksha, japa in the night following his own akara. The word svekara points to his interpretation being correct. In support of his view, the Swami cites verses which all say the same thing, namely that the initiate should be brahmachari during day, and at night worship according to Kulakara. Kolavali says, Naktam boji havashyanam, japt vidyam diva shusi, divavasa sarvatha, viro brahmachari bhavat sada. Retrao sampujade divim Kulakara kramna tu, divijan manam tu sarvasham div vid, avid, I rehasiate. Again, Kalika-Upanishad says, Sambhavadik, shasu rata shakteshu, va diva brahmachari ratrao, nagna sada mathan, asak tamanasa japa pujadi, niyamam kuryad iti. Kolavali again says, Unmukhya kalakayash gavishesha kathiate duna, dives brahmakariyina svyasamp yajapam karat. Retrao mamsasever matsir madrab, here mathanad, bhave. The reason for the Virasadhaka being instructed to adopt the akara of brahmachari in the daytime is the necessity for the concealment of the Virakara from the public, which Tantra so often insists upon. Shiva says that Virakara cannot be understood aright by the common people, and therefore must be concealed, as closely as a man should conceal his own mother's sin, Gopayat Matri, Juravat. Moreover, the worship of Kālī in Pashvikara is totally forbidden by Shiva. The Pashu is precluded by Tantra from the worship of Kālī. For example, the Niruttara-Tantra says, Divya bhavam vira, bhavam vina kalam prapujayat, pujain narakam yadi tasya dukam paid, pashabhavar auto divi yadi kalam prapujayat, roravam narakam yadi yavad abhutas amplavam. Vimalanandus, Vami says, the worship of Kālī without the use of wine, though seen in many places, is Puranic and not Tantric. Verses 1 to 8, 11, the first part of verse 20, and 21 deal with japa of the mantra of, and dhyāna upon, the divi, which may be done by the pashu. Verses 9, 12, 13, and 14 are studi, and 22 is the usual phallus, loka, which states the reward to be gained by the reading of the stotra. Verses 10, 15 to 18, and the second portion of verse 20 deal with lata sadhana. The Shakti of this sadhana is ordinarily the own wife of the sadhaka, married according to the Vedic injunctions, the Svashakti or Vidyā-rājnī, as she is technically called in Tantra. One's own wife is a Vidyā-rājnī, and sadhana should be done with her aid. With her is practiced that Shakta sadhana, the aim of which is the acquirement of self-control, which, checking the outward, going current, places the sadhaka upon the path of nivritti. Indeed, the Kalika-shruti says, without a Vidyā-rājnī, worship is but evil magic. It is only the siddha, who has obtained complete control over his passions, to whom is permitted another Shakti. So the Pranatashini quotes, a man shall obtain siddhi with his own Shakti, and afterwards, when he is siddha, he should make japa with Parashakti. Similarly, Niruttara-Tantra says that the sadhaka, who is siddha in Kulakara, may worship another woman. In both these cases, Parashakti has a double meaning, namely, another woman, that is, a corporeal woman or supreme, that is, the supreme woman who in the body is Kundalinī-Śakti. This latter appears to be the sense in the quotation which speaks of the siddha mantri. It has been said also, as in the Mahanirvana Tantra, that Parashakti must, if unmarried, be married either by Vedika or Shaiva rites, or, if married and the husband is dead, according to the latter rite. Further, that which determines the moral character of an act is the intention with which it is done. As the Kalavalya says, when a man's intention is bad, then his act is so, otherwise there is no fault. As an example of the same act and varying intention, it is aptly said, a wife is kissed with one feeling and a daughter's face with another. A mantrin who is given over to lust, for the subjugation of which the sadhana is prescribed, goes, as is said in the Tantrasara, to the hell called Rarava. In the words of the Aharabheda Tantra, Vamakaro bhavat tatra vama bhatva yajit param, one may be a Vamakari if one can worship Vama, being oneself a woman. This is on the principle that a worshipper should always be like the object of his worship. Woman is Devata, and the embodiment of the Supreme Shakti, and is, as such, honored and worshipped, and is, when Pujya Shakti, never the subject of enjoyment. Verses 15 and 16 refer to the sadhana of those who are not siddha. Verses 10, 17, and 18 apply to both sadhaka and siddha. By such sadhana, the last vestiges of the most powerful of such bonds are sought to be destroyed, and with such destruction, the seed of karma and rebirth. He, like Shiva, becomes the destroyer of smara and Shiva himself. Verses 4, 18, and 20 refer directly to this fruit of sadhana. Others indicate the material and intellectual greatness on earth of the sadhaka, who devoutly worships the divi. To him is given mastery over all persons and things of the world, which, on death, if siddha, he leaves for the dwelling by the supreme feet, or nirvana. As Shiva says in the Kalavalasa Tantra, I have told you, my beloved, all about the 5 tattvas, sadhana in the cremation ground and with the funeral pyre. Now listen to the doctrine of siddha vira. It is the sadhana of the cremation ground on which all passion is burnt away. There are 2 kinds of cremation ground, of which one is the funeral pyre, and the other is Yanarupa Mahākāli. As the first chapter of the Niruttara-Tantra says, there are two cremation grounds, namely, that which is the funeral pyre and the yoni, which, in its sukshma sense, is the divi, the sh, masana being. In the same sense, dissolution or pralaya. In even the sthula sense, the sadhaka must be susadhaka, for union without right disposition, japa, dhyāna, etc., is the animal methuna of a pashu. Sloka 19 refers to animal and human sacrifice to Kālī. Reference to this sacrifice is also made in the Kalika-shruti, and the Tantrasara speaks of a substitute in the figure of a man made of the paste of cereals. The latter work also says that by the sacrifice of a man, one acquires great prosperity and the 8 siddhis. But it adds that this is not for all, for the Brahmana may not make such a sacrifice, and if he does so, he goes to hell. Moreover, according to the commentator, who cites as his authority the Yamala quoted in the Kalika-shruti, the king alone can make such a sacrifice. This leads one to point out that the hymn has other than these gross meanings. In Brahmanism, everything has 3 aspects: supreme, subtle, and gross. Thus, the 19th sloka, when referring to the sacrifice of various animals and of man himself, intends, according to the subtle sense, the 6 great sins for which they stand, ranging from lust to pride. It is these which must be sacrificed by the knowers who are worshippers of the Mother. The age of material sacrifice, so universal throughout the world, having passed away. So again, the word Parashakti may refer to the Supreme Shakti, or may be used in the sense of a Shakti other than the Svashakti or Sadhaka's wife, who may, in the case of the competent, be associate in the worship on the principle stated in the Guhya-Kalikanda of the Mahākāla Samhita. As is the competency of the Sadhaka, so must be that of the Sadhika. In this way only is success attained, and not otherwise, even in 10 million years. This principle rests on the fact that man and woman together make one whole, and can only cooperate in the rites where the attainments or adhikara of each is the same. But this does not necessarily mean that such cooperation is by methuna in its sexual sense, quite the contrary. In the same way, in the Vedic ritual, the wife is sahadharmini, but such ritual is only for the competent within the bounds of shastric injunction, for, as the Shaktasangama Tantra says, though a man be a knower of the 3 times, past, present, and future, and though he be a controller of the 3 worlds, even then he should not transgress the rules of conduct for men in the world, were it only in his mind. But Parashakti again may mean no woman at all, but Supreme Shakti or the Mother herself, whose forms they are, and in such sense, the union of the Sadhaka is with the woman within himself. Kundalinī-Śakti, who in yoga unites with her supreme husband Paramashiva. The context must be known, as in the saying, Methanina Mahayogi Mama Tulio na Samshaya, which does not mean that by sexual connection the Mahayogi becomes without doubt the equal of Shiva or God. This is absurd. The person spoken of is a Mahayogi who, as such, has no connection, physical or otherwise, with women. Methuna means action and reaction and coupling, and sexual intercourse is only one form of such coupling. Thus, when mantra is said, there is a coupling or methuna of the lips. In yoga, there is a coupling of the active and changeless principles of the universe. The saying means that the Mahayogi who unites Kundalinī-Śakti in his body with Paramashiva becomes himself Shiva. So again, it is said in a verse quoted by Tarkalamkara in his commentary on the Mahanirvana, Matri, Yan, Aukesh, Yipit Lingam Bhajaniya Stanamardanam Gurur, Murdni Padam Datva Punarjan, Mana Vidyate. This verse, in its literal sense, means that if anyone commits incest with his mother and sister, and places his foot on the head of his guru, he is liberated and is never again reborn. But of course, that is not the meaning. The first half of the line refers to the placing of the Jivatma in the triangle situated in the Muladhara center with the Svayambhulinga in it, which triangle is called Matri, Yoni. The Linga is the Jivatma. From this point upwards, after union with Kundalini, the Jivatma is to be led. The union of Jivatma with Kundalini is spoken of in the second half of the first line. Kundalini is the sister of the Jivatma, both being in the same body. The meaning of the last line is as follows. After the union of Kundalini and Jivatma, the united couple are led up to the Sahasrara or 1,000 petaled lotus in the head, which is situated above the 12-petaled lotus, which again is the abode of the Guru. When the yogi is above the 12-petaled lotus, his feet may be described as being on the head of the Guru. Moreover, it is said that at this point, the relationship of Guru and disciple ceases. Metri, yoni is also the term given to those sections of the fingers between the joints on which the count of the japa, or recital of the mantra, is not to be done. If matri, yonam suggests incest, then this verse is a prohibition of it. Matri, yonam parityajiya viharat sarvayanishu. There are many other technical terms in Tantra Shastra, which it is advisable to know before criticizing it. One of the tests to which an intending disciple may be put consists in being questioned as to such passages. If he is a gross-minded or stupid man, his answer will show it. In order, therefore, that the hymn may be understood in its various aspects, I have given in the notes explanations of, or futures invocation, I make obeisance to the Lord Guru, the wish, granting, tree of Suras, eternal consciousness and bliss itself, the highest of the highest, Brahman, Shiva himself. I make obeisance to her, who by her Sakti of 3 Gu letter 1, E4, 7 As creates, maintains, and at the end of the Kalpa withdraws, the world and then alone is. Devoutly I call to mind her, the mother of the whole universe, Shiva herself. Om obeisance to the supreme Devata. Here follows an introduction to the Vimalan and Dadini commentary on that Lord of hymns called the Karpūrādi-Stotra to Srimad Dak letter 1, E6 3I letter 1 E4 7a Kalika. All good and all-powerful Paramasvara is without beginning or end, though in himself Nirgu letter 1 E4 7 he is the Adhara of the 3 Gu letter 1 E4 7 As. Though himself formless he creates, preserves and withdraws the world of extended matter prapan by means of the amacron VAR letter 1 E 4 7 and VIK letter 1 E6 3 Pas, acties of his own Maya which can make that possible which seems impossible, the Svatasvatari. UPNI letter 1 E6 3D says that by meditation was seen the Svas acti of the Diva, who is the abode of all causes, associated with Kalatattva. In the Niruttara-Tantra, Shiva speaks of the three-eyed corpse, like one, Nirgu letter 1e, 4, 7, but also seat of Gu letter 1e, 4, 7 As, associated with Sakti. Though himself without beginning, middle, or end, he creates and is the material cause of the world, which has a beginning, middle, and end. For this reason, the Tantras and other Sastras call him Adinatha, Mahākāla, Paramasiva, and Brahman. It is this unlimited, undivided beginning, less and endless Mahākāla who is imagined to be limited by the sun, moon, and planets, and as such is called by the names of Kāla, K amacron letter 1, E6 3 letter 1 E6, DH amacron, Muhurta, Yama, day, night, Pia K letter 1, E6 3 a month, season, half, year, yuga, kalpa, and so forth. It is he who divides time into Kāla, K of macron letter 1, E6, 3 letter 1 E6, DH a macron, and so forth, and as VY a letter 1, E6, 3 TI is called by the name Kāla and the rest. He is named Paramasiva Mahākāla when creating, preserving, and withdrawing the millions of worlds. Apart from individual name and form, he exists as the S, I am, a letter 1E, 6, 3 TI of them, and the endless supreme greatness, Paramamahan. VI letter 1 E6, 3 letter 1 E4, 7 UP, URA, Macron letter 1 E4, 7, says that Bhagavan Kāla is without beginning or end, from him appears the limited in creation. Atharvaveda says that Kāla created beings Praja, he is Prajapati, from Kāla was self, born Kassyapa and Tapas. Mahākāla is omniscient since he is all-pervading, dependent on none, and the Atma of Ale. Karmapa Ura, Macron letter 1E47, also says that he is the supreme, imperishable, without beginning or end, all-pervading, independent, the Atma of all who fascinates Manohara, all minds by his greatness. Kalamadhava cites VI letter 1 E6, 3 letter 1 E4, 7 U Dharmatara as saying that he is called Kala because of his dissolving Kalanat all beings, and he is Paramasvara because he is himself without beginning or end. Mahākāla is himself Nirgu letter 1 E, 4 7 A and Ni letter 1 E6, 3 Kriya, but his Sakti makes the sun and other heavenly lights rise, stay and set. It is by the power of the Sakti of Kala that men and other jivas are conceived in the womb, are born, attain childhood, boyhood, middle and old age, and leave the world on death. In the Santaparva of Mahabharata, Vedavyasa says that it is through Kala that women bear, that birth and death occur, winter, summer and rains come, and the seed germinates. Even Brahma, VI letter 1, E6, 3 letter 1, E4, 7 U and Rudra appear, stay and disappear through the Sakti of Kala. None can escape its operation. VI letter 1, E6, 3 letter 1, E4, 7 US letter 1, E4, 1, HITVA. Macron says that even those devas who create and withdraw the world are themselves withdrawn by Kala. Kala, or time, is certainly then the stronger. Mahākāla is called Mahākāli because he is one and the same and not different from his eternal Sakti. It is she who is Mahavidya, Mahadvi, Mahamaya, and PLRABRAHMLRU. Macron, PI letter 1 E4, 7 I Macron. As Adinatha Mahākāla is the first creator of the world, so the Sakti of Mahākāla. The merciful Mahākāli is the Adiguru of the world. Yogini Tantra says that Mahākāli is the mother of the world, and one with Mahākāla, as is shown in the Ardhanarasvara Murti. It was this Brahmavidya who Yogini Tantra, 10th Patala at the beginning of this kalpa, was heard as a bodiless voice from the sky by Brahma, VI letter 1 E6, 3 letter 1, E4, 7 U, and Mahesvara, who were then told to perform tapasya for the acquisition of creative and other Saktis. It was this Aniruddhas, Arasvati, who in the Satya Yuga appeared in the heavens before Indra and other proud devatas in the form of a brilliant K letter 1, E6 3 and crushing the pride of the Devas Agni and Vayu. In the form of all-beautiful Uma, taught Brahmatattva to Indra, the king of the Devas, CKENOPANI, letter 1, E6 3 AD 11 12. This Kalī again, who is PRAME letter 1, E6, 3 TIGURU, and grants Kaivalya, compassionating the sensuous and short-lived jivas of the terrible Kaliyuga, revealed the execute Amacron letter 1 E4, 1 BHAV Imacron Vidyā. This, which was taught in the form of conversations between Divi and Isvara, had been during the 3 preceding ages kept as concealed as a lady of high family from public gaze. It contained 3 sets of 60, 4 Āgamas each, which revealed the path of liberation for these Jivas. Though she is herself eternal, and SSCCID Amacron NANDORU, Macron PI letter 1, E4, 7 I Macron, she at times out of compassion for Sadhakas assumes forms fitted for their Sādhana. Similarly the Veda, Agama, and the rest, though everlasting portions of the execute, ABDABR AHMLR Umacron PI letter 1 E4, 7 I Macron, are only revealed to Sadhakas at different times in the several yugas. When the Mahadvi who is consciousness sin, May at the beginning of the kalpa, was pleased by the tapasya of Deva Rudra, floating on the causal waters, she assumed the Virat aspect and became thus visible to him. At that time by the command of Mahadvi, the Deva Rudra saw in the SU letter 1 E6, 3 U letter 1 E, 4, 1 and Amacron millions of universes, BRAHM Amacron letter 1 E4, 7 letter 1 E0, DA and millions of Brahmas, VI letter 1 E6, 3 letter 1 E4, 7 US, and Mahesvaras in them. The Diva, greatly wondering in the heart lotus of Mahadvi, there saw the murti of Sabda Brahman, consisting of Āgamas, Nigamas, and other sastras. See Yogina Tantra, 9th Patala. He saw that of that murti, Āgama was the Paramatma, the 4 Vedas with their Angas were the Jivatma, the 6 systems of philosophy Darsana were the senses, the Mah Pur Imacron letter 1 E4, 7 As, and Upa Pur Imacron letter 1 E4, 7 As were the gross body, the SM letter 1 E5, Tis were the hands and other limbs, and all other sastras were the hairs of that great body. He also saw the 50 Macron T letter 1 E5, BK Macron letters resplendent with tejas on the edges and petals of her heart, lotus. Within the pericarp of the lotus of the Vir Macron DRU Macron PI letter 1 E4, 7 I Macron he saw the Āgamas, brilliant as millions of suns and moons, replete with all Dharma and Brahmajnana, powerful to destroy all Maya, full of all Siddhis and BRAHMANI RV a Macron letter 1 E4, 7 By the grace of Mahākāla he fully mastered the Veda, Vedanta, PUR Macron letter 1 E4, 7 AS, SM letter 1 E5 BITI, and all other sastra. Later, Brahma and VI letter 1 E6, 3 letter 1 E4, 7 U received this knowledge of Āgama and Nigama from him. In the Satyayuga, Brahma revealed the SM letter 1 E5, Btis, PUR Macron letter 1 E4, 7 AS, and other sastra to the DEV a letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6 3 IS. In this way, Brahma-Vidyā was promulgated to the world. This therefore is authority to show that just as Brahman is everlasting, so are the Āgamas and Nigamas which tell of Brahman. Just as in the Satya and other yugas, only the 3 twice-born castes, wearing the sacred thread, but not the Sudra and other low castes were entitled to worship according to the Veda, so in those 3 yugas only DEV a letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6 3 IS, BRAHM a letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6 3 IS, and R Macron J a letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6 3 IS, who had conquered their passions and knew Advaita doctrine and Brahman, were entitled to the Āgama Sastra, which destroys all sense of difference caused by ignorance and grants knowledge of Advaita Tattva. By Siva's command, they kept it as secret in their heart as they would a knowledge of their own mother's illicit love. By Upasana they became liberated whilst yet living Jivan Mukta, and attained to BRAHM ANI RV Macron letter 1 E4 7. At that time the Upasana of the Āgama was unknown to Sadhakas devoted to karma. For this reason, many people nowadays think the Tantras, Astra, to be of recent origin. Probably all know that in the first 3 yugas BRA Macron HM a letter 1 E4, 7 of boys, after investiture with the sacred thread, used to learn the KARM AK Macron letter 1 E4, 7D A and J and tilde a Macron N AK Macron letter 1 E4, 7D of the Veda orally from their preceptors. The Veda was not then classified or reduced to writing. Towards the close of the Dvapara Yuga, execute R Macron K letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3 letter 1 E4, 7 Advp, Anna MAH, R letter 1 E6 3I. Vedavyasa divided the Veda into 4 parts and reduced it to writing. This, however, does not show that the Veda is a recent production. The supreme science, Para-Vidyā, which is contained in the Āgama, was also handed down from generation to generation of gurus in the first 3 yugas, and is being now similarly transmitted. Towards the end of the Dvapara Yuga, and at the beginning of the Kali age, merciful Siva, impelled by compassion for humanity bound in the toils of ignorance, divided the Tantra Sastra, which is unlimited knowledge, into 3 sets of 60, 4 parts each, according to the necessity of different adhikaras, and then told them to G a letter 1 E4, 7 a Pati, and Kartikya, the 2 beloved sons of Parvati. They repeated these tantras to letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3 IS of Siddhasramas, and these last, in their turn, told them to their own disciples. of the letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3is who knew Agama the chief was Dattatreya, an incarnation of Vi letter 1 E6, 3 letter 1 E4, 7u. At the beginning of the Kalpa, the ancient Brahma-Vidyā contained in the Agama appeared from out the Parame letter 1 E6, 3ti Guru, who is Mahabrahma-Vidyā, and exists in man's heart, unlimited and imperishable. If sadhana is done according to the instructions of a Sadguru, it becomes visible in the sadhaka's heart. Upasana, in the Vedic form, predominated in the Satyayuga. In those days, Brahma a letter 1, E4, 7as, and other twice-born castes, impelled by a desire for wealth, progeny, and so forth, used to worship Indra, Agni, Vayu, Surya, Soma, Vru letter 1 E4, 7, and other devas presiding over particular Saktis of Paramasvara in whom all Saktis reside, but desire, free Brahma letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3is and Mah letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3is did sadhana of Brahma-Vidyā, the full and perfect Sakti. And so we see in the 10th Ma letter 1 E4, 7 dia L of the letter 1 E5, Bid, G-Vedas letter 1 E4, 1 Hitiva, Macron that Mahadvi appeared in the heart of the daughter of Mah letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3i, A Macron letter 1 E4, 1 Bh letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E4, 7 I Macron, and so told the true nature of Brahma-Vidyā to letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3is. This is the Dvisak, to full of Advaita Tattva, the hymn telling of the true nature of Brahma-Vidyā in the Veda. In the Treta and other yugas, the Bra Macron HML letter 1 E4, 7as and other twice, born devoted to the KRMAK Macron letter 1 E4, 7d, used to perform yajñas and so forth, according to the SM, Riddhasastras of Manu and others. But BRAHM letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3IV letter 1 E6, 3I letter 1 E6, 3 letter 1 E6, DHA in Sinakara, RA Macron J letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3I, Visvamitra C Gandharva Tantra, first Patala, Vidharaja Janaka, BH letter 1 E5, BGUR A Macron M the son of Jamadagni, C Calicula Sarvasva, Esakutri Ramakandra, and other Heis. Old men were worshippers of Brahma-Vidyā, the full and perfect Sakti. Again, in the Dvapara Yuga, despite the existence of Vedic and Smarta cults, the Agnihotra Yajña and other rites used to be performed according to the Pur Macron letter 1 E4, 7as. But Heis, old Esakut Ri Macron Kri letter 1, E6 3n, the son of Vasudeva, C Radha Tantra, Divi Bhagavata and Mahabharata, Anusasana Parva, ch. 14, the 5 Pandavas, namely Yudhi letter 1, E6, 3 Thir, and others, Virata Parva, ch. 6 the Heis, old Ra Macron J letter 1, E5, B letter 1, E6, 3I Bhishma, the great Muni Vedavyasa, high-souled Sukadeva, Asita, Divala, and Brahm letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3I, S such as Durvasa were worshippers of Mahavidya, the perfect Sakti. Of this, the Mahabharata and other books provide particular proofs. In the present Kaliyuga also the 10 Esakut letter 1 E4, 1 SK Macron RAS, such as marriage and so forth of the twice-born, and the obsequial ceremonies such as Esekutrata are performed according to Vedic ritual. SM letter 1E5, BTI governs Kandrayana and other matters relating to asrama and legal affairs, such as inheritance. The Autumnal Durga Puja and other vratas are performed according to the Pura Macron letter 1 E4, 7as. But initiation, upasana of Brahman with Sakti and various practices of yoga, are done according to the ritual of the Agama Sastra. This latter is of 3 kinds according to the prevalence of the GU letter 1E, 4, 7 as, namely Tantra, Yamala, and Damara. There are in all 192 Āgamas current, namely 64 each in Asvakranta, Rathakranta, and VI letter 1E6, 3 NUKR Amacron, NT Amacron. Many tantras were lost in Buddhist and Mohammedan times, and the few which still remain with sadhakas in different parts of the country are not shown by them to any but to their disciples, so that these also are about to be lost. The late Rasika Mohanat Chattopadhyaya, with great effort and cost, saved some of these, and the English Arthur Avalon has done the same, and I hope yet others will in future be rescued by him. In the Yogīna Tantra, Isvara says to Divi that the difference between Vedas and Āgamas is like that between Jiva and Atma, that is, between Jiva covered with avidya and Isvara, who is full of Vidyā. Indra and other devas who used to be worshipped as Isvaras and Yajñas held under the Karm ak Amacron letter 1 E4, 7D A or S a letter 1 E4, 1 HIT Amacron of the Vedas are, in Tantra Sastra, worshipped as the presiding devatas of the Dikpalini, Sakti of her who is all Saktis, Sarva-Sakti, SVRU Macron, PI letter 1E4, 7 I Macron. The three as far as Brahma, VI letter 1, E6, 3 letter 1, E4, 7 U and Rudra of the Vedas, and PUR Amacron letter 1, E4, 7 AS are in Tantras, Astra, the presiding devatas of the creative, preservative, and dissolving Saktis of Mahadvi. As such they are worshipped as the supports of the couch of the Mahadvi. She in the Divijita says that Brahma, VI letter 1, E6, 3 letter 1, E4, 7 U, Isvara, Sadasiva are 5 Mahapreta at my feet. They are constituted of the 5 Bhuta, and represent the 5 different elements of matter. I, however, she says, am unmanifested consciousness, Chit, and in every way beyond them. Again, the Veda says all this is verily Brahman. Despite this Mahavakya, various distinctions are made, such as those of caste, adhikara of men and women, and so forth. So a male BRA Macron HML letter 1 E4, 7 a may say Vedic mantras, but not BRA Macron HML letter 1 E4, 7 a women. Distinction was again made between objects as between the water of the Ganges and a well. All such distinctions are wholly opposed to the spirit of the great word, Mahavakya. The Tantra Sastra says that the Supreme Brahman is both subtle and gross. In dependence on the truth of this Mahavakya, Tantric sadhakas purify wine which is not to be taken and drunk, according to Veda. Considering it to be as holy as nectar, they offer it into the mouth of KUL a KU letter 1 E4, 7 DALI N I Macron, who is consciousness itself, Sitsvarupini. Again, in accordance with Veda, the Tantra holds food to be sacred, and knowing that food is Brahman, ordains the offering of it to Mahadvi. This offered food is Mahaprasada, and very holy and rare even for devas, and whether it be brought by a C, a letter 1, E4, 7D a Macron LA, or even fallen from the mouth of a dog. The Vedas and SM letter 1 E5, BTI say that the C, a letter 1, E4, 7D a Macron LA, and other low castes are untouchable. On touching them one must bathe, do Aghamarshana, and so forth. But the Tantra Sastra says that even a C, a letter 1 E4, 7D a Macron L a Macron, who has a knowledge of Kula doctrine and Brahman, is superior to a BR a Macron H, M a letter 1 E4, 7, who does not know Brahman. The Tantra Sastra again says that during the Kakra, all castes are equal. Since all are children of the one mother of the world, no distinctions should be made at the time of worshipping her. It is on this tantric authority that no caste distinctions are observed in the matter of eating, and so forth in the VIR, a J, a Macron K letter 1E6, 3 ETR, of Esakutri Vamala Divi. The Veda, again, prohibits the performance of yajna, or worship, after the taking of food. Tantra Sastra, however, says that one should not worship Kalika, whilst suffering from hunger or thirst, otherwise she becomes angry. That is, since Siva and Jiva are really one, it is futile to worship the Paramat, saying I offer Naivedya, when the Jiva, who is one with it, is in want of food and drink. SM letter 1e, 5 BTI again, which explains Veda ordains that the Shalagrama stone, which represents N a macron, R a macron, Y a letter 1, E4, 7, a should not be touched or worshipped by any but BR macron H M a letter 1, E4, 7 AS. On the other hand, the Tantra Sastra ordains that the B of macron NALI letter 1, E4, 5G, a representation of the Brahman, may be touched and worshipped not only by BR macron HML letter 1 E4, 7 AS, but by Sudras, C a letter 1 E4, 7D of macron LAS, and women. In fact, the KLRMA K a macron letter 1 E4, 7D of Veda contains many such ordinances opposed to Brahman knowledge. For this reason, Bhagavan execute RI macron K letter 1 E5, B letter 1 E6, 3 letter 1 E4, 7 has said in the Gita that the Vedas are concerned with objects constituted of the 3 GU letter 1 E4, 7 ASTRI GU letter 1 E4, 7 AVI letter 1 E6 3 OY, and bids Arjuna to free himself of the GU letter 1 E4, 7 AS. He says the Veda contains the KRMA K of macron letter 1 E4, 7D, but that he who seeks the Brahman, state above the GU letter 1 E4, 7 AS, should abandon the KRMA K macron letter 1 E4, 7D and perform Sādhana according to Sastra, by which liberation is gained. In spite, however, of differences in worship and practice, both Veda and Tantra Sastras are one in holding that there can be no liberation without Tattvajnana. In the Nirv a macron letter 1, E4, 7 a Tantra Siva says O Divi, there is no liberation without Tattvajnana. According to Veda, a sadhaka, in order to become fit for Nirv a macron letter 1 E4, 7 must have first accomplished the fourfold Sādhana. He must have acquired the faith that Brahman is alone everlasting, and have no desire for happiness either on earth or in heaven. He must possess the 6 virtues, Sama, Dhamma, and so forth, and must long for liberation. He then discusses Vikara and ponders on the Mahavakya, that thou art Tat Tivam Esi, and thus realizing the unity of Paramatma and Jivatma, attains the knowledge he I am Saham. In Tantric Upasana, the J and tilde a macron N a K a macron letter 1, E4, 7D is mingled with the KARM a K a macron letter 1 E4, 7D The Agama teaches the ignorant Pasu, steeped in dualism, Vurabhava Sadhana, in which dualism and non-dualism are mingled. It thus endeavors to raise them to the divine state of Jivan Muktas, the state of pure monism. Manu says no dualists to be passus. Non-dualists are BR a macron HM a letter 1, E4, 7 AS. Rudrayamala says that Vurabhava is revealed for the development of Jnana. After perfecting Jnana and attainment of Brahma Siddhi, the sadhaka becomes devata in a pure state of sattva. The Vedanta and philosophic sastras are replete with instructions and arguments touching non-dualism, but they do not indicate the path by which one can be in actual practice non-dualistic. For this reason, we see Vedantic Pandits deeming it unclean to touch a low caste man, such as a Sudra. They also observe endless distinctions as to what should or should not be eaten, and what should and should not be offered to Devata. Tantra Sastra, however, says that non-dualistic bhava, Bhavadveda, should be accompanied by non-dualistic action, Kriyadveda. The Yoga Va, macron letter 1, E6, 3 I letter, 1 E6, 3 TH, R a macron M a macron Y a letter 1, E4, 7 says that to the Muni who realizes non-dualism Advaita in bhava, in Kriya, and in objects Dravya in all these 3 matters the world, seems but a dream.